What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu, Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bringing you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a former executive in several global organizations turned entrepreneur, co-founder of a construction software company called digibuild. Please welcome April Moss. April, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Sounds like it's going to be a fun day.
Oh my gosh. You know what? We've already had such a great time chatting before we started recording. But one thing that intrigued me about your bio and what you do is not only being an executive in several large global organizations, but also turning an entrepreneur in a very male-dominated industry. So I'd like to hear kind of like, your journey through corporate, which got you into becoming an entrepreneur.
Yep. So I worked 21 years with Procter & Gamble, doing various roles. My last position was running their North America operations for their second largest customer team. I worked for a retailer, you might know it, Starbucks, helping build out their first ever retail sales organization. And then I worked for a brokerage firm with top CPG companies. I had done a little bit of real estate previously and worked for a construction specifications institute. But really, my passion and understanding of construction came from my dad. He was, contractor, subcontractor. So all of my entire life, I've kind of, had that in the back of my mind. And so after 21 years and working at these companies, one of the guys that worked for me, Rob Salvador, came to me and said, "Hey, are you be interested in starting and co-founding a company in construction?" And I said, "Well, what kind of company?" And he's like, "Software." And I'm like, "Okay, let me think. I don't have any construction background and I have no software background. Why would you want to bring me, on for something like this?" And I think part of it was because women, he really values, like he's had very strong women in his background. His mom in particular has really influenced them. She, runs a pretty big business in Chicago. And so he was just looking to bring in, a female founder-led as well as, minority-led company to really change the industry, to put different faces, names to those faces. So really it was Robert Salvador who really had that vision of bringing in a female leader. And then my background with operations, sales, I worked in product supply, logistics, lots of different roles there. So having that corporate background to work with some of these construction companies who are corporate, plus Rob grew up in construction. Yeah. So between the two of us, we think we got it. So that's kind of why I ended up going over, as someone reached out their hand and asked if I would.
I love it. Well, clearly you are capable of it, or else he wouldn't have asked you. I wanted to point something out. You shared something with me that I think I want to highlight, because we live in a world where there's so much opportunity, and really, if you dream it, you can achieve it. You shared that you don't have a bachelor's, you have a 3-year degree, right?
Yeah, I got 3 years working on my bachelor. And one day I'd like to do my master's, but the MBA, but that would be just because I want to do it.
Yeah. But you were able to achieve all that success without that, like, so-called label of having the bachelor's degree.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're working at Procter & Gamble, which, by the way, what an amazing company to work for, their training, their diversity, everything that they bring to the table, they really are one of the best companies to work for, and how they treat their people. So I learned a lot through them. But it really was, the women in my life that influenced me. My grandmother at 75 went back and finished her high school diploma. She got close to a 4.0. The only reason she didn't get a 4.0 is because she took auto mechanics, because her son ran a shop, car dealership, and she just wanted to understand what he did every day. So really, he didn't do auto mechanics, but in her mind,
that's awesome though. Good for
her. She's absolutely amazing. Had an amazing influence on me. My mom, my father died. I'll tell you a little bit about my personal story about my dad committing suicide when I was younger, but my mom, raising 6 kids, and just the type of, she had her own business. She actually, worked for doing bookkeeping for a while, but found out that, if she owned her own cleaning business, that she should make more money and spend more time with her kids, and the flexibility and her hard work that she drove in us is big. And then I'm surrounded by her sisters, all these aunts who are very strong women. My one aunt who just recently passed away was the first ever female butcher in Michigan.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so, I've got all the she used to give me what really got my passion going for business was she'd give me all her green bar paper, if anybody knows what green bar paper is,
Yeah.
and she'd give it to us, and I'd take it home, and I'd set up my own little shop out back on my, back porch and have my own restaurant, and I'd go through her green paper, green bar, pretend I'm taking inventory, and of course, I made the best mud pies in the world, so it's like, yeah,
We have a lot of similarities. So first of all, where do you fall into like being one of six?
I'm the oldest girl. So I have one
Okay.
older brother.
So I'm
The
in
only
the
one
five.
between two boys.
Um, well, so not only were you raised by strong women and given a great example of how to be independent and smart and just to achieve things, but you've got two brothers that are like that kind of like are besides you. Are you close to both of them?
Oh, yeah, very close to both of them. Yep.
Yeah.
All my siblings were very
Oh,
close.
I love that. So I'm the oldest of five, and
Oh.
we did live in Michigan for a period of time. What part of Michigan were you at?
And so with Tawas, it's a small little town. Okay,
Oh,
here's Michigan. We're right
yeah.
over here, right there, right across from the
Oh,
thumb.
okay.
Yeah. And then the rest of my life, I grew up in Pennsylvania, northwestern
Oh, wow.
Pennsylvania.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about your father. That's
Yep.
terrible. I can't imagine what that was like, when that happened. But I mean, look at where you are today. I'm sure he'd be very proud of you.
Yeah, and where that ties back into with my father, since we are just talking about it, he was in construction, but most people don't know that construction has 4 to 5 times more suicides than any
Yeah,
other
I didn't know that.
industry. And so, when you don't have work and you're struggling, you start getting into the drink culture and it just wore on him. And that was one of the reasons why we believe he committed suicide was just the hardship
Yeah,
of working in the industry. It's a tough industry. It's a fun industry. It's a lot of people love what they do. My dad did, but he
yeah.
wasn't the best business manager. But he was a great craftsman. So and guys don't talk about it.
No,
There's very few.
well, especially back then. Especially
Yeah,
back then, I think that
no.
men are encouraged to be a little bit more vulnerable these days. They're starting to get on that positive masculinity
Yes.
roller coaster. But like back then, like it's not kind of unheard of. Men wouldn't talk about their feelings. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So you said that it's a tough industry. That's why I want to kind of hear, being a woman boss in the construction industry. Like, were you well received with your partner, or what does that look like for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, it kind of ended up with you know, being in a better team of people.
That's right.
Rob is absolutely supportive. He's a minority himself. So he understands that. And I think that, one of the people that influenced him that's part of one of our advisors on our team is Barbara Rez. And you could Google her and she's all over the place. She built half of New York. She went back at 55 and got her law degree. I believe she's still on the New York and New Jersey panel for, it's a panel, but it's the arbitration for construction and helping to solve arbitration cases. But she really was such an influence on Rob, and she's been such an influence on me. And just her stories about what she had to go through and
Sure.
paving the way in construction. Unfortunately, I think it's still less than 6% of women are in construction, and most of those are probably architects, engineers, and more of the office space than out in the field. I
Yeah.
think that's changing though. There's a lot of push for the trades now, and we're connected with a lot of people in the trades, the blue collar revolution,
Yeah.
as people have called it. So I think you're going to see more of that. Welders out there. One of my good friends who is a female founder of Weld Chain. She's a welder herself. There's a big push for that. And they're having to go younger. I mean, they're going into schools at 14 and 17 years old and really sharing what the trades are all about. And there's a lot more interest. So I think that trend is going to change. I think for me, it's probably because we're in software and we're in technology. There's a lot more women surrounding me and I feel more supported that way. Like I just, like I said, I went to the Construction Institute, Women Who Build a couple weeks ago and spoke on a panel there, and there's a lot of women there in sustainability and those areas of construction like sustainability.
Yeah.
Um, more about the technologies. There's a lot more women there. So I have not had to go through some of the struggles that my sisters in construction have had to go through, but I've seen it, heard it, and I think there's change coming.
Well, that's good. I love hearing that because I'm all about female power. Let's go. Let's go. I'm total support from boss babes out there. I actually
Yeah.
in technology for a little bit. I worked for a SaaS company and it was all men. And that was probably the first time in my life that I felt like that, being a woman in the workplace. It was very interesting. I mean, they dissolved my role, which was a good blessing because now I'm just in my podcasting full time. So I know what it's like to be amongst like a male dominated industry. So I love hearing you've been well received. So I want to kind of talk about digibuild. Like I love that it's software. It's a software for a hands-on industry. What
Yes.
does digibuild do and how does it solve the problems in construction?
Yeah, so back in 2019, we got together with IBM and created this summit for construction. They do a lot of work, IBM, with construction companies. And we said, hey, what's the next thing in construction? So we did a 2-day innovation summit in San Francisco. And out of that, the number one issue that in October of 2019 was supply chain. It was completely broken. So we kind of mapped that out. We started pivoting because we had started creating a project management software for construction. But coming out of there, we decided to pivot and we went into developing digiprocure, which is our main software that we have today. And if you think about what happened in January 2020, COVID, and so you think supply chain, is bad before then, it just got worse and it's really taking a long time and it's going to be a long time before it recoups. So what we do is we will do the takeoff. So if you give us your blueprints, we'll do some of the takeoffs or just give us your list of products from the blueprints and we'll go out and we'll bid, order, track, and manage all of that entire process all the way to the product gets to the job site. And that's so significant because we save between 40 to 50% of project managers' times, construction managers' time of having to actually manage that. And so 24/7, anybody could get into the software, understand where their product's at, if the bid's going to expire, when something needs to be ordered, they get alerts for all this. We don't ask suppliers to do anything. Suppliers can come on our platform for free. It's a benefit to them because we give them, more jobs and projects. But it's a major benefit to our customers base because then we can actually get a lot more bids out there and save them money. We just saved on one project, for example, $600,000 on an 80,000 square foot hotel that we were building out and 600 man hours. So if you think about that capacity, giving those hours back to a project manager who can go into a software, just track of what's happening, know what's going on at any given time, and have that peace of mind that somebody's actually handling it. And then they spend their time going out and actually managing projects and finding new business. It's a major capacity build for construction companies. And you really don't, you just have to do maybe 5 million or more in construction and it'll benefit you because all the workflows are the same and identical. So it's cool. And then the other thing, talking about technology, we're built on blockchain and we use ChatGPT and AI within our software. So it's a cool, great software built on great technology. And then we added one more thing in based on our customer feedback. We actually have construction procurement managers in the back end. So they're kind of following along everything going on in the system, making sure stuff is happening, the flow is there. It's almost like a security blanket for everybody. But if there is an issue, like say that we've, the software's pinged a supplier and said, hey, we haven't seen this come through. Where's the orders? We'll get on a call and call them and say, hey, what's happening? And then we put notes into a message board within the system. So again, 24/7, whether you're the owner, the real estate developer, whether you're the subcontractor, project manager, you can get in and see where everything's at in the system. And there's only one other company right now we're truly competing with, and they've built a similar software, but it's more for subcontractors on the electrical side. And for us, there's no real competition because there's no technology. There's not enough technology right now for construction. Sure. So for us, we don't look at it like it's kind of like one of those things. If you look at the CPG companies I worked for, how many shampoos are really out there,
Oh my God,
and they're
a
still
lot.
creeping. So for us, it's like all tides rise together, and we're excited that anybody that gets into this industry to help improve it is in our book not competition. They're just helping to drive this industry further. We might
Sounds
think
very
differently about that in 10 years, but right now,
yeah. Well, it sounds very groundbreaking. So not only will they get
yeah.
ROI, I don't know what the cost of the software
Oh
is.
yes,
Sure,
huge. Yeah.
sure it depends on the how big the company is, but
Yeah.
also like increases their profit margin if you're reducing labor costs and
Yep.
just across the board. That's huge. That's huge.
It's massive. And we even do like this project snapshot for
Yeah.
companies. They're like, well, we don't quite know or understand what you're doing. So we'll charge, 1,000, 1,500, depending on what the project is. And we'll give them a snapshot and show them how much we can really save them. And by that time, the hook's in and they're on the software.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. I think it's I'm a fan of
Yeah.
technology. I think
Yeah.
that it doesn't necessarily take away jobs, but it allows people to be
Oh, it doesn't.
more efficient and
Yeah.
actually allow them gives them the space to take on more business, So I think
Well,
this is amazing.
absolutely. And you just talked about taking away jobs. Right now, there is such a need for, labor within construction.
Sure.
So, I mean, project managers are in high demand. So, any little bit of margin we can give back to them, our tool can do that. So, we're not taking away jobs. We're assisting people to be able to go get more work. So that's really cool. And one other thing about our software that's
Yeah.
really unique that we're very proud of is that we're going to have the largest supplier database in the globe. And in that supplier database, we will also have the largest sustainable supplier list with all their credentials, with all their information, and also a list of all those suppliers who are women owned or also minority owned. So people that are trying to tap into funds, because we need to digitize a little bit more, but from a sustainability standpoint, construction companies can check boxes. Digibuild's digitized. It's sustainable. We've got suppliers that are sustainable, and then we've got suppliers out there that are women owned and minority led. So it's a really easy place for people to go to help be able to, show that they're working on their sustainability and their mission statement and be able to tap into some of those infrastructure funds out there that you would not otherwise be able to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I know like if some of those funds, there's a requirement of buying from minority type of supply.
Yes.
So that's a big deal instead of having to go search for it. That's amazing. So what is that like? If they say, okay, I'm a construction company, I do 5 million plus, and I want to jump on this platform. This sounds good. What does the onboarding process look like per?
It is so easy. It literally does the workflow. So you sign in, get all your credentials set up, which is normal, very easy. We even have people to help you do that. And then literally you upload all of your, specs that you want us to look at, and we go send out all these RFQs for you. It's that easy.
And then what is so from 5 million to what is the ceiling?
Yep. So it doesn't matter. It could be, doesn't matter how large the project is. We can do it. We're in oil and gas. We're in hospitality. We've just jumped into life sciences, which is a really fun industry to be into. We do commercial construction, real estate. Right now we're working on a project where it's mixed use. We've got part of it's a theme park, part of it's retail, part of it's hospitality. So it doesn't matter because we can find any supplier anywhere.
Yeah, very cool. And so can one organization have multiple projects going on within?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's all project based. Yep.
Awesome. All right, where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about this incredible software that you guys have created?
Yep. info@digibuild.com. And we'll get right back to you. We set up a demo with you, or you can even just reach out to me on LinkedIn at April Moss and just type in April Moss Digibuild and my name will come up.
Awesome. You guys, I'm going to put the link for her LinkedIn and the link for her email address in the show notes. So if you or anyone you know is involved in the construction industry and is looking for software to help you streamline your processes, your workflow with your suppliers, don't hesitate to reach out to April. Obviously, she's very knowledgeable and very passionate about what she does. So I think it's a conversation to be had. This is the part of the show, April, where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I'd like to say that anybody that's looking to make a change in their career, not to be afraid to do that, to really just the skills that you have used today to make you successful will be the same skills that you can apply to any industry. And that's one of the things that I've learned moving from huge companies, CPG companies, to startup. I mean, when I was in these larger companies, everyone called me Bulldog because I just love new business development and wouldn't give up until we were successful. So for me, it was just, could I take these skills that I learned, life skills as well as practical skills, business skills, and apply them to any industry? And I got to tell you, they're all the same. You just have to learn a little bit more, apply yourself a little bit more in knowledge and understanding that industry. But if you've made it in one industry, you can make it in another. So don't be afraid to make that change.
Oh, mic drop. Yes, you're officially part of my hashtag Boss Babe Club. I love it, April. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story. And I love how passionate you are about what you're doing now and the problem that you're solving within the construction industry. I think it's very unique and groundbreaking. So very excited for you. And yeah, let me know if you want me to introduce you to Leopardos. I just put a little plug there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You guys, this is your Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And Athena and I say goodbye.